Welcome. So in this video, we'll be answering this question before us. It says, determine the values of p for which the graph of y equals x squared minus px plus 4 has 2x intercepts. So the first thing that we need to notice here is because we have 2x intercepts, our discriminant is going to have to be greater than 0. And that's because we have 2x intercepts. Now we know what our discriminant is. It's b squared minus 4ac, which is going to be greater than 0. We now need to sub in the relevant values here. So looking at this, we can tell what a, b, and c is going to be. So a is just my coefficient of x squared, which is just 1. My b is my coefficient of x, which is negative p. And my c is just going to be positive 4. So let's now sub these values into this. So it's going to be negative p squared minus 4, 1, and then c will be 4. And this is greater than 0. This is going to be p squared minus 4 times 4 is 16 is greater than 0. Now this is where most people will make the mistake. You cannot solve a quadratic inequality algebraically. So you need to stop here and remember that you must graph. You must graph quadratic inequalities. You cannot solve them algebraically. Qualities. You must graph it. So let's give it a graph. We're going to come here. This is going to be our discriminant. This is going to be p. And we're going to graph p squared minus 16. We're going to have to find our x-intercepts. Now that isn't that tricky because we know that this is difference of perfect squares. So it's going to be p minus 4, p plus 4. So that means we're going to have an x-intercept at 4 and 4. I should be saying p-intercepts. And now we can give this a sketch like so. Let's see if I can do that a bit better. Wow, this is the ugliest graph I've ever seen. Ugh, I'm so shaky. Alright, there we go. So that's what it's going to be. It's going to be, my intercepts are going to be at negative 4 and 4. And now what we need to consider is where is this greater than 0? Where is this greater than 0? For it to be greater than 0, it needs to be above the x or the p-intercept right here. It needs to be above it. So where is it above it? Well, it's above it here, and it's above it here. And now based on this, I can write down what my answer is going to be. So for what values of p is my discriminant greater than 0? Well, it's going to be, let me get a pen. It's going to be p is an element of negative infinity to negative 4 with the union of 4 to infinity. Now there is another way for you to write this. You could write or, and you could use this notation right here. You could say, fancy brackets, p is less than negative 4 with the union of p is greater than 4. Really important that you take note of the fact that you're not including the negative 4 and 4, so it has to be a round bracket or an inequality without a line underneath it, because it's only where it's greater than 0. It's not greater than or equal to 0. So either of these would be a correct answer here. Let's put a box around them. So that's how you approach this question. I can already imagine what most people will get incorrect, and that is they're going to try to solve this quadratic inequality algebraically without drawing a graph. You have to graph it. As soon as you see a quadratic inequality, you must graph it. So these are acceptable answers. Hopefully you found this useful, and I'll see you in the next one.